Imagine a group of people clearly saying something wrong, and you know what the correct answer is, but still, you say what they say. This is not about your character. This is the Asch Conformity Experiment. And this experiment showed how people can deny reality just to follow the crowd. In 1951, psychologist Solomon Asch asked a very simple question. If the entire group is wrong, will a person still go along with them? In other words, can people say true to something they know is false just to avoid being alone? To test this question, one of the most disturbing psychology experiments in history was conducted. The Asch Conformity Experiment. The experiment was very simple. A participant was brought into a room. There were other people in the room, but there was something the participant didn't know. The other people in the room were not real participants. They were all working with the researcher. So the only real subject in the room was one person. There were two cards on the table. One had a single line. The other had 3 lines of different lengths. The task was extremely easy. Which line is the same length as the line on the first card? Even a child could answer it. The experiment started normally for a few rounds. Everyone gave the correct answer. The participant felt comfortable. Everything seemed ordinary until the critical moment. In one round, the first person answered, "Wrong." The second person, "Wrong." The third person, "Wrong" again. Everyone in the room began giving the same incorrect answer. Then it was the real participant's turn, and now he was alone. He knew the correct answer. But he also saw this. Everyone else was saying something different. This is where the experiment truly began. To make it clearer, imagine this. What color is milk? But everyone except you says green. How would you react? Most participants resisted at first. They gave the correct answer, but the experiment continued. Again, and again, and again. Each time the group repeated the same wrong answer. After a while, the participants began to change. Some hesitated, some started sweating, some laughed nervously, but most importantly, many stopped giving the correct answer. About 1/3 of the participants agreed with the group's clearly wrong answer. They denied what they could see with their own eyes. And during interviews after the experiment, they gave very revealing explanations. Some said, "I knew it was wrong, but everyone else said the same thing." Others said, "I thought I might be the one who was mistaken." But the most disturbing response was this: "I didn't want to look different." Many people want to believe they are independent, but in the end, the fear of exclusion surrounds us, and we may avoid giving the correct answer. The experiment showed that 75% of people conformed to the group at least once. These people were not weak. They were not stupid. They had no psychological disorders. They were ordinary people. The problem was not knowledge. The problem was pressure. Group pressure. And this pressure could reshape reality. Asch found 2 different reasons. The first, normative conformity. People conform to avoid rejection even when they know the group is wrong, because social exclusion is processed by the brain like physical pain. The second, informational conformity. People sometimes begin to doubt themselves. They reach the point of thinking, maybe I'm the one seeing it wrong, and the majority replaces reality. Today we can see examples of this on social media. Influential figures can easily lead large audiences toward incorrect ideas, because many people accept what they say without questioning it. This is not just a laboratory story. It happens at school, at work, among friends. Someone laughs at a joke. No one actually finds it funny, but everyone laughs. Someone defends an idea. No one agrees, but no one objects. Because most of the time people do not seek truth. They seek harmony. Today, the experiment is no longer in a laboratory, it is on social media. A post receives thousands of likes. People believe it not because it is true, but because everyone says it is true. Trends, comments, mass shaming. An idea can be wrong. But if enough people repeat it, reality begins to follow it. The room in Asch's experiment is now much larger, and all of us are inside it. Asch's experiment did not show that humans are weak. It showed this: humans fear being alone. And sometimes, just to avoid being alone, they walk away from the truth. So here is the final question. If you were in that room, while everyone clearly gave the wrong answer, would you really say the truth? Or would you also go along with the majority?